Today's idiom is at the end of the day. It means ultimately, when all factors are considered, this is the most important point. Think of it as what truly matters. This phrase emerged in the 19th century, literally referring to the close of a workday. It then figuratively shifted to signify a final, definitive conclusion in any discussion. Here are two examples. First, we had a lot of debate, but at the end of the day, we agreed on the budget. Despite discussions, the final crucial outcome was agreement. Second, learning a new language is hard work, but at the end of the day, the cultural insight is worth it. The ultimate benefit of cultural insight makes the effort worthwhile, highlighting its core value.
Similar phrases include ultimately, a direct and formal synonym. Example, ultimately, the decision rests with you. Another is when all is said and done, meaning after considering everything. At the end of the day is conversational. Ultimately is more direct, and when all is said and done suggests reflection on past events.
To summarize, at the end of the day means focusing on the most important aspect after considering all factors. Originating from concluding a workday, it evolved to mark a final, overriding point. Use it to highlight the core truth or most significant outcome in conversations, adding a natural, decisive touch to your English communication. I'll see you next time with another great expression.
Today's idiom is he was full of beans. This vibrant expression describes someone who is very energetic, lively, and in high spirits. Imagine a person who is bursting with enthusiasm, ready to tackle anything. Its origin is often traced back to the agricultural practices of 19th century rural Britain. Farmers would feed beans to their horses to give them extra vigor and stamina. Over time, this imagery of a spirited, bean-fueled horse transferred to people, suggesting they possess the same kind of boundless energy. It's a delightful way to describe someone full of life. Let's see. He was full of beans in action with some examples. For instance, you might say, after a good night's sleep, the toddler was full of beans and ready to play all morning. This paints a vivid picture of a child waking up refreshed and bursting with energy, typical of a lively youngster. In another scenario, despite working all day, Sarah arrived at the party full of beans, eager to dance and socialize. Here it highlights Sarah's impressive resilience and enthusiastic spirit, showing that even after a long day, she had plenty of energy for social activities. Both examples perfectly illustrate someone who is truly bursting with life and vitality.
While full of beans describes someone very energetic, there are other expressions with subtle differences. Bouncing off the walls is similar, but often implies an overwhelming or even slightly uncontrolled level of energy, perhaps due to excitement or too much sugar. You might say a child is bouncing off the walls when they're almost too energetic. On the other hand, full of boundless energy is a more direct and literal way to say someone has a lot of energy, without the idiomatic flair or the potential for excess that bouncing off the walls can carry. Choose full of beans for a lively, positive, and spirited description.
To wrap up, he was full of beans is a fantastic idiom to describe someone who is exceptionally energetic, lively, and in high spirits. Originating from the practice of feeding beans to horses for vitality, it perfectly captures a sense of boundless enthusiasm. So the next time you see someone bubbling with energy, whether it's a child ready to play or an adult thriving at a social event, you can confidently say they are full of beans. It's a wonderfully descriptive and positive expression to add to your English vocabulary. I'll see you next time with another great expression.
Today's idiom is that is a tough nut to crack. This phrase describes a problem that is difficult to solve, or a person who is hard to understand or deal with. Imagine trying to open a very hard-shelled nut. It requires effort and persistence. The idiom draws directly from this common experience, with its figurative use developing in the 17th century. It powerfully conveys the sense of a challenge that demands significant mental or physical effort to overcome, much like those stubborn nuts. Let's see how we can use that as a tough nut to crack in different situations. For our first example, solving the climate crisis is a tough nut to crack, requiring global cooperation and innovative solutions. Here, the idiom refers to a complex global issue. It emphasizes the immense challenge and the varied efforts needed to address it. Now, for a slightly different application, consider this. The new CEO is a tough nut to crack. Nobody can quite figure out his true intentions. In this instance, the idiom describes a person, someone who is difficult to understand, predict, or influence. Both examples show how this versatile phrase effectively communicates a high level of difficulty, whether it's a monumental problem or a complex individual.
While a tough nut to crack is wonderfully descriptive, there are other expressions you might encounter. Consider a Gordian knot. This refers specifically to an extremely complex or intractable problem that seems impossible to solve without drastic action, much like the legend of Alexander the Great cutting the knot. Another similar phrase is a hard case, which can describe a difficult person or situation, often implying someone who is stubborn or resistant to change. A tough nut to crack is often preferred for its vivid imagery and broad applicability to both problems and people.
To sum up, that is a tough nut to crack effectively conveys the idea of a significant challenge, whether it's a difficult problem or a person who is hard to understand or deal with. Remember its origins from the literal effort of cracking a physical nut, which makes its meaning immediately clear and relatable. So next time you face a formidable task or a puzzling individual, you have the perfect idiom to describe the situation. Keep practicing these vivid expressions to enrich your English communication. I'll see you next time with another great expression.
Today's idiom is "will chew the fat." This phrase means to engage in a long, casual, and friendly conversation, often about nothing in particular. Imagine sitting down with friends and just talking for hours. The origin is quite vivid. It likely comes from the 19th century nautical or military life. Sailors and soldiers were often given tough, salted fat as part of their rations. It was difficult to chew and took a long time, naturally leading to extended periods of conversation while they slowly worked through their meal. It beautifully captures the essence of relaxed, unhurried chat. Now let's see this idiom in action with a couple of examples. For our first scenario, let's grab a coffee next week and chew the fat for a bit. Here, the speaker is suggesting a relaxed meetup specifically for some casual conversation and catching up. It implies a desire for a friendly chat without any particular agenda. Our second example illustrates a situation where the fat is already being chewed. After the meeting, we stayed for an hour, just chewing the fat about old times. This shows a group of people having an informal, extended conversation, reminiscing about past experiences. Both examples highlight the idiom's use in referring to enjoyable, unhurried social interaction. It's a great way to talk about relaxed bonding.
While chew the fat perfectly conveys a long, casual chat, there are similar expressions. Shoot the breeze is quite close, also meaning to have an informal, light conversation. It implies a more spontaneous, often shorter, and less intense discussion compared to chew the fat. Another useful phrase is catch up. This means to talk with someone you haven't seen in a while, to learn what they've been doing. While chew the fat can involve catching up, it's more about the act of leisurely conversation itself, rather than specifically updating each other on events. Use shoot the breeze for light chat and catch up for sharing recent news.
To wrap things up, "will chew the fat" is your go-to idiom for planning or describing a relaxed, lengthy, and informal conversation. It conjures images of unhurried discussion, perhaps like those old sailors or soldiers slowly chewing their rations while passing the time with stories. Remember, it's not about deep or serious topics, but rather about simply enjoying the company and the flow of conversation. So next time you want to suggest a friendly, leisurely chat with someone, you can confidently say, "Let's chew the fat." I'll see you next time with another great expression.
Today's idiom is "don't let your guard down." This powerful phrase means to remain vigilant and cautious, not to relax your defensive posture, as danger might still be present or a situation requires continuous attention. Its roots trace back to combat sports like boxing and fencing from the 19th century, where a fighter literally lowers their guard or defensive stance, leaving themselves vulnerable to attack. We now use it metaphorically to advise against complacency in any challenging or uncertain situation, so always stay alert. Let's see how we use this idiom in real life. Imagine a situation like our first example. After solving the main problem, she was tempted to celebrate, but her boss reminded her, "Don't let your guard down, there's still follow-up work." Here, the boss is advising against prematurely relaxing, emphasizing that even after a success, there are still tasks requiring focus and caution. Our second example presents a different context. The team won the first half easily, but their coach warned them, "Don't let your guard down. Our opponents are known for strong comebacks." In this scenario, the coach is urging the team to maintain their intensity and not become overconfident, even with a lead, because their opponents could still pose a threat. Both examples highlight the importance of sustained alertness in various challenging situations, whether in the workplace or on the sports field.
We have some great alternatives to "don't let your guard down." Consider "stay on your toes," which emphasizes being ready to react quickly to changing circumstances, implying an active state of readiness. Then there's keep your eyes peeled, specifically highlighting the need for careful observation and looking out for something. While Don T let your guard down suggests maintaining a defensive posture against potential threats or complacency, stay on your toes focuses on agility and responsiveness. Keep your eyes peeled is about visual alertness. Choose the one that best fits the specific nuance you want to convey.
To sum up, don't let your guard down is a vital idiom encouraging continuous vigilance and caution. Originating from the world of combat, it reminds us not to relax our defensive stance, whether literally or metaphorically. Whether you've achieved a small victory or are navigating a complex project, remember that complacency can lead to unexpected challenges. So, always stay alert, prepared, and focused. Incorporate this powerful idiom into your vocabulary to effectively advise others and yourself to remain sharp in any situation that demands ongoing attention. I'll see you next time with another great expression.
Today's idiom is, they promised the moon. This vivid expression describes someone making grand, often impossible promises. It highlights the unrealistic nature of pledges that cannot be kept. The phrase originates from ancient understanding that the moon, though desirable, is an utterly unattainable object, symbolizing an unfulfillable promise. Let's see this idiom in action. First, don't trust that politician. During election campaigns, they always promise the moon, but deliver very little. Here, promises are seen as extravagant and unrealistic, designed to win votes without genuine intent. Second, my boss promised me the moon if I finished the project on time, but then claimed they had budget issues. This shows an overly generous, but unkept, promise to motivate an employee.
Similar expressions include promise the world and make empty promises. Promise the world is very close, implying vast, unfulfillable offers. Make empty promises describes pledges lacking substance or sincerity. Promise the moon emphasizes the sheer grandiosity and impossibility.
In summary, they promised the moon means making grand, often impossible, promises. Originating from ancient hyperbole, it describes offers too good to be true or simply unattainable. Use it to describe someone making overly ambitious, unfulfillable pledges with clear insight. I'll see you next time with another great expression.
Today's idiom is, he is on track. This means someone is making good progress towards a goal or is following the correct plan. Its imagery likely comes from trains moving smoothly on their designated tracks or runners staying on course, emphasizing steady, expected advancement. It conveys a sense of controlled momentum and alignment with expectations. Let's see this in action. Example 1. Despite initial challenges, the project manager confirmed that the new software development is on track for its launch next month. This highlights project progress. Example 2. After dedicating extra hours to studying, Sarah feels she is on track to achieve her goal of getting into a top university. Both illustrate steady advancement toward an objective.
Similar expressions include making good progress, a direct alternative for successful advancement. Another is on schedule, focusing on meeting timeline expectations. While on schedule emphasizes time, on track broadly implies both being on time and following the correct path toward an objective.
To summarize, he is on track means someone is making good, steady progress towards their objective. This idiom, drawing its imagery from literal paths, effectively conveys being aligned with a plan and moving forward as expected. Use it confidently to describe anyone successfully pursuing goals or a project advancing well. I'll see you next time with another great expression.
Today's idiom is, it's not as bad as it seems. This comforting phrase means that a situation, despite appearing difficult or daunting, is actually less problematic than it first seems. It encourages us to look beyond initial impressions and maintain perspective. Unlike idioms tied to specific historical events, this expression developed naturally in everyday English speech over centuries. It's a direct, intuitive way to offer reassurance, reminding us that our worries often exaggerate the actual difficulty. Embrace this for a more optimistic outlook. Let's explore how this idiom is used with 2 examples. First, imagine Sarah, who was really upset after failing her first exam. Her friend offered comfort by saying, "It's not as bad as it seems. You can still improve your grade." Here, the idiom reduces Sarah's initial fear, emphasizing that the situation is salvageable and improvement is possible. Secondly, consider a new project that looks incredibly challenging. Your team leader might assure everyone, "It's not as bad as it seems once you break it down into smaller steps." In this context, the idiom helps to demystify a complex task, suggesting that the perceived difficulty lessens once you approach it systematically. Both examples perfectly illustrate how this idiom provides perspective and encourages a more optimistic view, whether in personal academic struggles or professional challenges. It's all about reframing initial perceptions.
While it's not as bad as it seems, corrects an exaggerated initial perception. Look on the bright side encourages actively finding good in tough situations. For example, after a setback, focus on lessons learned. Every cloud has a silver lining implies that difficult situations always hide a positive aspect, which appears later. Use our idiom for immediate reassurance against initial fear. The others are for cultivating optimism or discovering benefits in recognized tough circumstances.
In summary, it's not as bad as it seems is a powerful idiom for reassuring someone that a situation, despite appearing daunting, is actually less problematic than initially feared. This natural expression developed over centuries in everyday English, reflecting our common need for comfort and perspective. Initial anxieties often exaggerate reality. Next time you or someone faces a challenge, use this idiom to encourage a calm, second look. It fosters optimism, reminding us that things often turn out better than expected. I'll see you next time with another great expression.
Today's idiom is calm your nerves. This phrase means to relax and become less anxious or agitated, especially when feeling stressed or worried. Think of it as soothing your inner jitters or a racing mind. The term nerves has been used to describe feelings of anxiety and apprehension since at least the 17th century, reflecting a physiological understanding of our emotional states. So, to calm your nerves is to actively bring that agitated state back to a peaceful equilibrium. It's a very common and practical idiom. Let's look at how we can use calm your nerves in everyday situations. For our first example, before her big presentation, Sarah took a deep breath to calm her nerves. Here, Sarah is feeling anxious about her presentation, and taking a deep breath is her way of managing that stress. Our second example is, the doctor advised him to listen to some relaxing music to calm his nerves before the surgery. In this scenario, the patient is likely feeling apprehensive about the upcoming surgery, and music is suggested as a way to soothe his anxiety. Both examples show the idiom's use in stressful situations where someone needs to alleviate their mental or emotional unease.
When you want to express a similar idea, you could also use phrases like settle down or cool down. Settle down often implies becoming less agitated or energetic, sometimes after being very excited or upset, and can apply to people or even a situation. Cool down usually suggests recovering from anger or intense excitement. Calm your nerves, however, specifically targets anxiety, worry, or apprehension. It's about easing that specific internal tension, making it a precise choice when addressing feelings of nervousness.
To wrap up, calm your nerves means to relax and reduce feelings of anxiety or agitation. It draws on a long-standing understanding of how our nerves relate to our emotional state. Remember, whether you're facing a big event or just feeling a bit stressed, taking a moment to calm your nerves can make a huge difference. So, next time you or someone you know is feeling a little on edge, try to calm your nerves and find a moment of peace. Practice using it to naturally incorporate it into your English vocabulary. I'll see you next time with another great expression.
Today's idiom is, it was a shot in the arm. This phrase describes something that provides a significant boost, encouragement, or renewed energy, much like a medical injection can quickly revitalize someone. It's used when a situation or person badly needs a positive stimulus to improve. Let's see how a shot in the arm works in practice. First, the new investment was a real shot in the arm for the struggling startup. Here, the investment provided crucial financial and morale support. Secondly, getting that positive feedback was a much-needed shot in the arm after a tough week. This shows how good news can lift spirits and provide encouragement.
Other phrases like a boost or a pick-me-up share similar meanings. A boost generally means an increase or improvement. A pick-me-up often refers to something small that temporarily makes you feel better, like a coffee. A shot in the arm implies a more substantial, impactful, and often urgent positive intervention.
To recap, it was a shot in the arm refers to a powerful and much-needed positive stimulus or encouragement. Originating from medical injections, providing quick energy, it's perfect for describing anything that revitalizes a difficult situation or person. Remember this idiom when you want to emphasize a significant beneficial impact. I'll see you next time with another great expression.